Welcome to Running Down the Clock, where we break down all of this week's big news, events, and controversies from the National Football League. Over the next 45 minutes, we will give you basic fan perspective and opinion on the most important stories and moments happening now. So, let's start the clock. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Running Down the Clock. We are coming up on week 7 on the NFL season. I'm here, as always, with Poya and Poya. Let's start it off with talking about some off-field news. Dan Snyder, the owner of the Washington Commanders, is getting in some hot water here.
Yeah, I guess start with the boring stuff first so we can yell at each other afterwards with some of the more interesting topics, just because with this topic, I feel like there's so little information out there for someone like you and I. It's such a closed door thing with NFL owners. Is there any more secret society out there than the NFL owners? Like,
no, that's one of the bigger ones. And also it's one of the most important ones because it's one of the most highly watched sports league in the world.
That is a coveted club to be in.
There's only 32 of them. And it's very rare that they're sold. You can't sell a team without all the owners approving who it's being sold to and why you're selling it. I think the Broncos just got sold most recently. But they basically, so yeah, you and I won't know much. We only know what's in the news and we only know basically what they want us to know. And that's Dan Snyder is not a good person. He is stealing money from other teams. He's stealing money from the government. He is the other half of the conversations that were with John Gruden. He's basically hiding on his yacht somewhere, trying to avoid all of this. And it's getting to the point where it's affecting the other owners. This past weekend or week, or one of the days, they had the owners meeting, the general annual fall owners meeting. And it got heated between the owners. There's only one guy, Jerry Jones, is backing Dan Snyder, whereas the Colts owner, Jim Irsay, is calling him out. So it could be interesting. Like the Commanders could be sold.
And go through another name change, perhaps?
Yeah.
The one thing and this is just plain devil's advocate, is he a scapegoat right now just because he's had some outside, news come to light about him, like with like government tax and stuff, that they just want to cut the head off this before it goes anywhere? Because again, we don't know anything about these guys. Maybe the worry is that they're all guilty of the same things he is, and they don't want that to kind of spread to the other owners, because that's what this guy's threatening. Again, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just playing the devil's advocate on this. Like, we don't know anything.
That's what he's threatening. That is what he came out this week and said, they're not going to do anything to me because I have so much dirt on all of them. So but
doesn't that now, if they can't follow through with this, doesn't that validate his statement that, like, listen, they want me gone, but they realize my threat was real? Like, isn't that kind of bad for them if they can't follow through on that now?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, because that basically just says, okay, well, he does have any owner that backs down away from him knows that there's something that that Dan Snyder has on them. So they are going to back away because they're in too high of a position to want that outed.
Yeah. I mean,
but what do? You just let him, so you just let him bully you into not having any punishment at all?
No, I think there's always an issue with these billionaires that a lot of them are not used to having to not get their way.
Yep.
Because
he's had his way his entire life, probably.
Well, I mean, just with that much wealth and that much power, you get your way a lot, right? Like, you can just kind of fix opportunities for yourself that it goes your way. You have the means to do so. So then coming up against other ones, that's like where you see the real adversity they start to face of. So yeah, I don't know how this would play out. I mean, how often have we seen this happen? I remember in the NBA, they forced Sterling?
Yeah, Donald
Sterling. I don't know if they forced
him
or if he just kind of stepped away. Like,
I think it was
before it got ugly.
Donald Sterling, I think it was a combination of the fans wanting him out, the players wanting him out, and the owners all wanting him out. So it was just a point where he
stepped away before it got ugly, right?
Yeah, I think
because like Snyder's going to fight. Like, he'll fight to the bitter end, I think, right?
Snyder seems like he's going to go down with his ship, no matter what.
Yeah.
He wants
And
this team. I don't know why he wants this team, because they have the worst stadium. They've got essentially one of the worst teams. They're never any good. They're constantly making bad decisions. And like,
why wouldn't
why
you
hold
want
on to it?
any team? Why wouldn't you want any team? That's his team. Like, I get it. I understand why he wants to hold on to it.
Yeah, but if it takes you down with it,
How's it going to take him down? Either way, if they force him to sell, he gets X amount of $1 billion, $1 billion, right? Like, what?
yeah.
There's going
So
to be
just
more
be
than three.
get your $1 billion and go enjoy the rest of your life.
So one of the things I read is that that team is his identity, and you know,
Well, that's the
it's
only
his.
way we know of him.
Yeah. So why would he give it up? Either way,
Because
whether
right
he
now,
wins, here's the thing though: if he loses, he still gets the money from the team, the value of the team. If he agrees to their thing of just stepping away, he gets the same amount whether he loses. So he's really got nothing to lose except his credibility, which if you're a piece of shit guy like they say he is, you don't have any of that anyway. You don't care.
yeah, but so this is what he gains by selling the team. Maybe the um IRS or whatever it is and the FBI back off of him in the
No way.
States.
No. If he
Okay,
owes
well,
money, if he owes money, they see he got money, they're going after him anyway for it.
okay, well then he can get his money by selling the team and go to a place that he'll never go to jail at. Right? Or own a team that you can't travel to the United States to go see.
Yeah. Maybe he's
What's
just
the
an
point?
optimist like me, just thinking that this will all just blow over if I hide out for a little bit, run away from the
What?
problems.
What? So he's just hoping that it all goes away.
Well, maybe they forget by next season.
It's I think it's a weird, and I never understand why. I get it's like an ego thing as to why guys do it, but at that point, there's so many things going against you. It just seems like Donald Sterling. When have you ever heard his name again? He's just quietly living his life somewhere with
Yeah, but the
$4
a
billion.
lot of these guys, they don't want you to know about them. Most of them, they want to be the man behind the curtain, right? Because
For that reason, though.
no, just because they have the means to be more famous than they are. They choose to live a
Yeah,
private life, right? They don't. Why do they want to be in the news? What do they gain from being in the news?
that's
Some of
what I
them like
mean.
to.
But he's now in the news. He can get himself out of the news by selling the team, just like Donald Sterling did. Because once he sells that team, nobody cares about him anymore. You
Yeah.
said, that's his legacy, that's his thing. So if nobody cares about him anymore, then sell the team and no one will talk about you anymore.
The other side is if he's got real bad problems or he knows they're not going away whether he sells the team. Like if he's got legal issues with the government and stuff, like the government doesn't care about your team.
No, but you can leave and maybe
Please.
we'll just leave like states. Like you don't have to go back to America. Take your money, live somewhere else.
He's still getting the ticket sales. Anyway,
sure.
I mean,
you can't go to the games.
Yeah, maybe this is his Super Bowl. He's made the playoffs now for fighting against the other owners, and this is his Super Bowl to try and come out on top.
This is his Super Bowl, is to try to beat everybody that's against him right now and just blow up the entire NFL.
That's a you and me move.
Yeah, just make them burn everything.
But yeah, scorched earth.
But the risk reward is huge for him. For us, is whatever
it seems for his situation, the man has nothing to gain. There's no winning in this situation for him, is there?
No.
Well,
winning would get $6 million or whatever, $6 billion.
But he's going to get that anyway. Like he owns the team, so he's getting a forced sale. He still gets his money.
Yeah, and the team's only going to get more valuable as time goes on too. So
exactly.
I don't know. I think either way, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. Do you care about this much after this? Like if nothing comes out about this again, do you care?
No, I don't really care about that team, especially because they just didn't come with an attractive name over the past 2 seasons, right? They haven't marketed it well. They haven't marketed it well to me. Like I don't want to be a fan. Like they haven't really sold me on like being a Commander.
Yeah, but that's because it's a new team. Like it's super hard to create from what was an old, like everyone knew the old team. It's hard to come up with a new name that's going to satisfy the diehard traditionalists and get new kids on board at the point where it's only been a year. So we don't know if if people are actually going to like it. In 15 years, 20 years, Commanders will be Commanders.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, I was never a fan of the old team anyway, right? Like I've never just been I've never been a Washington sports team fan. I don't think I like any of them. I hate the one in the MLB just because I like the Expos and lost the Expos.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is that I'll relate it to is when the Raptors came along, the Toronto Raptors, everyone made fun of them for choosing the name Raptors. And then they put a Raptor on their jersey. And now, since 1995, no one's saying boo about the Toronto Raptors as a team name. They've won a championship, and that jersey with the Raptor on it is arguably one of the best jerseys of all time in the NBA.
I'd just like to bring a point of order, though. I'm pretty sure prehistorically, that Toronto area was not natively home to Raptors. Whereas the Vancouver area was more native to the grizzly bear habitat than the Raptors.
We just don't even talk about that. But so if there was a lot more Commanders in Washington, you'd be okay with the name?
No, I'm just being an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems like to me it's just such a forced name after, like, it's the name that in a TV show they give to the high school football team.
Yeah. I don't think it was the Jurassic Park. That's why they had it.
Anyway, talking about values, Carolina, they're selling everybody.
Yeah, so they've already,
at least they should be. They're entertaining offers now.
Yeah, they benched what's his name? Robbie Anderson. They sent him to the locker room mid-game because they got in a fight with the wide receivers coach, and then they traded him the next day. They traded him to the Arizona Cardinals because I believe Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, they're one of their wide receivers.
He's got an injury. I think he's done for the season.
Yeah, so they needed someone else. I don't think Robbie Anderson is the answer. Robbie Anderson was an undrafted wide receiver who had one good season with the New York Jets and has been coasting off that ever since. So I don't think he's an upgrade. I don't think he's going to do anything in Arizona. He's the smallest guy. He is the smallest little dude.
I had a whole thing about Carolina, but we got to jump on the Arizona thing because now you've just kind of opened up a new thing for me. They get Hopkins back this week. One thing, if he continues where his career has always been, he's one of the top guys in the league.
Yes, top 5.
Now, having a top level receiver usually opens up your other receivers to do well. Robbie Anderson is just a guy that can just run deep. He's fast. He's not anything else.
He's just fast.
So if you can get open deep and you got Hopkins maybe getting double coverage or just being reliable to catch it if he's not double covered. We saw him with quadruple coverage once, catching balls in the end zone. And they still got one more guy who's the old guy from Bengals. Is he still playing, or who's their
AJ
other,
Green?
Is he still
there? Who's the other receiver now? He's still kicking around there.
Yeah. So who's the other receiver?
It's
anyway,
AJ Green,
whoever it is.
It's Rondell Moore or something like that.
Regardless, whoever it is, does this change anything for Arizona? Because Arizona is dreadful right now. They've got
they're really bad. But they have. We talked about the coach getting fired from Carolina, who was at college head coach. So was Cliff Kingsbury. He's a college head coach, and he didn't have a winning. I don't even know if he had that much of a winning record in college, but he was just known as like this prolific offensive minded guy who was young, and those were super hot at the time because of Sean McVay. I just don't think it's working out well with him, and I think that he's probably one of the top 3 coaches on a hot seat right now, so that he could be gone mid-season or by the end of the year. And then if he does get fired, do you think that they get a new quarterback? They just paid Kyler Murray a ton of money.
Getting a new quarterback, I mean, I don't know. Is he really the issue? Is Kyler Murray the issue? Is he poor passing?
I don't think he's the issue. But personally, I'm a Kyler Murray. I believe in him. I don't think he's the issue.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, I think with a good setup, it could work for him.
Yeah, I think with the right offensive mind, like someone who actually knows the NFL game, I think it could work very well for him. I just don't think that Cliff Kingsbury is the option there. And I don't think that bringing in Robbie Anderson is going to make them any better. They play Thursday night, so he's got like 2 days to learn the offense. He just runs deep. He runs fast and he runs deep. That's what he is.
But also, I didn't look at what the trade was. It could have been they just got him for peanuts.
They probably just got him for peanuts. But
Yeah,
still, like,
so
do you want that guy like on your team?
you can bench him if you got a freebie.
But his attitude in the dressing room.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we did talk about how when they first got Baker Mayfield, he sent a sad face or something, whatever he did.
Yeah, he said
him.
no. They said there was rumors that Carolina's trying to get Baker Mayfield. He said no.
Yeah.
Like what's the when again we talked about this, like what was the point of that? It didn't make any sense. It didn't help anybody. It only made himself look like a jackass. And now he's the one that's gone.
And he had the little pout on the sidelines watching him walk away, which never looks good for a player's stock. But
and it's not like he's going to a better team. It's not like he got his way. Like it's not like, oh, I got out of Carolina where I didn't want to be because they suck. It's like, no, you're in Arizona where you're not going to want to be because they also suck.
Yeah.
So
what I was going to say about Carolina is another player who does seem to suck right now is Moore.
DJ Moore.
I mean,
his value's at all-time low.
It is a bad time to have your value at an all-time low when it's talking about clearing house.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you
it's
were
bad for both because he maybe doesn't move, or I don't know. The upside is maybe somebody gets him on the cheap and can revive something out of him. But
and if you're a team like the Packers, wouldn't you kind of want to do that? Kick the tires and see what DJ Moore is doing because they need a wide receiver.
And I think Aaron Rodgers is a guy that gets. I don't want to shit talk any of the receivers, but he gets a lot out of some bad receivers.
He gets a lot out of some bad receivers, and you can definitely shit talk the receivers over there because they're not doing anything. Their best receiver, I think, not even a receiver, was their tight end was the best pass catcher of the past weekend. And then they got guys like Randall Cobb, who's old, and Sammy Watkins, who's old, and then Alan Lazard's having a decent year. But the rookies they haven't got his trust yet. Whereas Aaron Rodgers is a guy who very much needs to trust his players in order to do well with them. And he doesn't have that yet. So he'll find somebody, might be a DJ Moore. There was rumors this week that they're looking to trade for somebody. So, or maybe wait for OBJ to come back because OBJ is supposed to come back sometime in November, but can the Packers wait that long?
Also, if their record is so poor, is that an attractive landing spot for him to want to actually go?
I think because of the Aaron Rodgers name and the Green Bay status symbol in football, I think that it's still probably a place you'd want to go.
Yeah.
And also you can still win that North. Like I don't believe
I'm just saying if it looks like if it's so late in the game for OBJ to actually come back that it looks like they're not making the playoffs now.
Yeah, I mean, they're 3-3 or something. Like they could still make the playoffs, and they probably still will. You can't count Aaron Rodgers out of anything, right?
No, the only thing is though, look into winning that division right now. It doesn't look like they're winning that division. Where
if you look at it right now,
boy Kirk Cousins is running away with that.
No, he's not my boy. Not my boy. He's not my boy. So let's talk about.
So here's. One more point on the Carolina thing. Is there a strategy for other teams to almost wait them out a little longer? Because the longer you wait them out, do they get more desperate to take a worse deal, or they just hold their players and screw it?
I don't think you can wait them out. I think the trade deadline's in within a week.
It's a week, okay.
Yeah. So they don't have much time to deal these guys. It's got to happen sooner rather than later. And they're going to have to make a decision based on their future within the next 7 to 10 days, I think it is. Right. It's happening very quickly. So I don't know, sell house, get rid of McCaffrey, get what you can get for him, get rid of DJ Moore. You might have to take less because he's not doing well, but also just because he's not doing well now doesn't mean that people don't know what he's done in the past. So you could still sell that type of we don't have a quarterback. That's why he's not doing so well.
On quarterback number 4 now, or?
Well, yeah.
4-3 guy.
Also, let's talk about a team that is not performing where they should be right now. The Baltimore Ravens are the worst fourth quarter team in the NFL. It's not even close. They've blown leads of 27, 17, and 10. Now, I heard a crazy stat. So they're 3-3 now in the season. And all three of those losses were blown fourth quarter leads by the numbers I just gave. They have only trailed this whole entire season. They have only trailed for 114 seconds. Think about that's under 2 minutes that they have been not either tied or winning a game. Only
Now,
2 minutes, and they've lost 3 games.
is that not a direct translation of we have poor defense and their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, can just keep saying, pay me what I want. I am all you have.
Well, no, because in the fourth quarter, they've been outscored 50 points to 15. So even in the fourth quarter, Lamar Jackson's not getting it done.
Right. So he's
not also part of the problem.
Right.
Which is that you could, because before you could say that he's like, oh, well, it's just the Ravens defense stinks in the fourth quarter, or their play callers stink in the fourth quarter, but they're outscored 50 to 15 in that fourth quarter. It's not a good stat for Lamar Jackson either.
No. I mean, that's poor game management in terms of, playing a full game rather than playing three quarters.
I agree. But what do you do? Like, how do they turn this around? Because they have to, right?
Well, I mean, I think it has to start on defense, right? Giving up points isn't the quarterback's fault, right? Not putting them up on the board is one thing, but he's not responsible for giving up points. And if it was something where they're constantly causing getting turnovers to give him another chance, I'd say, yeah, it's on the quarterback. But
that was the case most recently.
You got to get some defensive stops to keep the momentum going too, right? Because that deflates. Not only does it inflate your team, it deflates the other team. But
sure, it also gives sometimes you can't blame a defense for giving up points if your entire offense is doing 3 and outs the entire time and only getting like 35 seconds off the clock.
Yeah.
So it could be, all I know is they have to turn it around and they got to do it quick because they're in a division that has the Bengals and the Browns, and the Browns are still kind of not gone away yet. No, they're only 4 weeks away from getting someone who they think is going to be their franchise quarterback,
which I'm personally not convinced is going to make any change.
I don't think he's going to be good at all. Why would he be good? We've said this before. Why would Deshaun Watson be good after not playing football for almost 2 years?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson has been playing football forever and he's stuck now.
Oh man, that's another one. Like,
can you fire? When do you think the earliest it is that you can fire your head coach without kind of admitting that you've made a massive mistake? Because that's kind of where Denver is right now, right?
Is this the guy's first season?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with how you're losing games. Like right now, they are the most boring team to watch. Those are
got no offense,
terrible games. Like
their defense is kind of. This the crappy part is their defense is holding other teams to field goals mostly, so they're playing decently, but their offense isn't doing anything, and their play callers and their head coach is messing up the clock all the time. Like they probably lost 2 games because of clock management.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to do it is, what do you care about if you made a mistake? If you're the management of the team, unless you're worried you're losing your job for making a mistake, but it's apparent anyway,
Well, that's the thing that it's these, again, we go back to owners' egos. It's like Jerry Jones will never play somebody who's making, like, basically whoever makes the most money is getting the starting position. So when Dak Prescott comes back, even if Cooper Rush had a great game on this past weekend, which he didn't, then it would have been an easy decision for Jerry Jones to be like, we're going back to Dak because I just gave him like $240 million.
Yeah.
Which is, you said it best a couple weeks ago, is like, you have to pay the guy anyway. So who cares if you're getting paid on the bench or you're getting paid on the field? If someone else is playing better than you, they get the spot. But Jerry Jones doesn't do that. And it happens all the time with Zeke. Even Tony Pollard's playing better than him, but Zeke is getting majority of the touches because he's making more money. So some of these owners have this ego where it's, I can't admit that I've made a mistake. So they'll just keep going until jail or death.
Yeah. I mean, that's the difference though. Like if you want to win, just fix the problems, right?
Well, that's this, but if you're not good enough to fix the problems, like when do you get fired?
I mean, there's people that have had their jobs for way longer than they should have. I think a lot of it always comes down to, though, who do you replace him with? Like
You got to go with
coaches,
anybody else. Like
it's
anybody
also,
else.
but the thing is, you bring in anybody else, you still have to go through those same growing pains of teaching them everything else and letting them adapt to, because you bring in another mistake, like they're teaching this guy how to manage the game, how to call the plays.
Yeah.
You know? So you're going to have to just, it's rehiring costs. You're going to have to go through the same thing with somebody else, because I don't think there's a Hall of Fame guy outside of Sean Payton sitting around that could come back and coach. I don't know if he wants to, but
there's probably some guys that are hidden at there's like, I don't think Jim Caldwell has a head coaching job. Like I know he doesn't have a head coach job right now, but I don't know if he has an offensive coordinator job. He is a great coach that could probably turn them around. Bruce Arians isn't coaching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He could want to get.
The thing is, though, you can't hire a guy like him because he's already he's working for a team right now.
Yeah, but not as a head coach.
Doesn't matter though. Like
what do you mean it doesn't matter?
Can you poach him? You can poach him mid-season.
You probably have to. You actually probably have to trade for him. Because it's happened before where coaches have been traded, but I think you'd have to trade for him in order to do that.
Yeah, so I mean that's a tough trade. What do you have to trade?
I don't know. You'd give up like a 6th round pick or something like that, some money. But you can't. What you're just going to keep? You're supposed to have a team that's supposed to be doing well, and you're just going to keep losing.
I don't know why we keep going on this. They're supposed to be doing well. You convinced me somehow. I thought off the bat they were going to be last in that division.
But because I thought you were right. I thought Russell Wilson was going to be better. I didn't know he was going to be trash.
I just thought he doesn't have enough there. Like Jerry Jeudy's looking like a bum. I don't think he is a bum at all, but he's looking like a bum this season because nothing's working. Like they're not getting him the ball. Nothing's happening there.
Why is that? Like, is it Russell Wilson? The offensive line sucks. The offensive line is really bad.
He's probably traumatized by a bad offensive line. I don't know. The games are not watchable either. I can't tell you because the games are not watchable for me to analyze them and tell you what the issue is.
Thankfully, we don't have another Denver Broncos primetime game until like week 14 or something.
Why are there so many?
Well, because everybody thought they were going to be good. Everybody thought they were going to be good. Everyone thought that AFC West was going to be so good. And it's not.
But again, even the Raiders games are more exciting. Watching the Raiders lose is more exciting than watching the Denver Broncos do anything right now.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a dull match, like they were in that game. That game against Kansas City was an eventful game to watch.
They have the Texans are the only team that have less scoring point, like less points than the Broncos.
Yeah. It's not a good brand of football now.
No.
Tom Brady made those comments that like football is, I forget what he said exactly, but that it's terrible across the board right now. Like
yeah,
it's a down season or something.
Do you think that like when you watch the games, I think it's interesting that the Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys, I think that division being kind of back to what it is supposed to be with those teams being very well liked around the world and the country. I think that makes football exciting again.
There's a lot of upsets. There's a lot of like good games through the week. Sure.
Yeah.
But it also seems to me that there's just a lot of like neutral zone play, like, like nothing happening, a lot of kicking, a lot of punting. If you like punting, this is your season to watch a lot of punting.
There was not.
But I don't have the numbers to back that. I don't have the numbers to back that up. That's an actual thing that it's up or something this year.
Yeah. Well, I know that everyone in the fantasy league that I'm in this past weekend was complaining because nobody was scoring touchdowns. It was just boring and was boring football. Red zone wasn't. I watched Red Zone on the weekend. And I was like, it's not. But there's not much happening here.
Did you see that Herbert stat on the touchdowns?
He had 57 pass attempts.
No. So he's gotten a touchdown in a game, something like 36 out of 37 like straight games, something like that.
Okay.
So his like line to get a touchdown was
I know a few people
pick. Yeah. Solid pick for him to score a touchdown in the game, and he did not.
Yeah, I know a few people that
Bad
took
beat.
that bet because also these I don't know how there's somebody in sports betting that knows the future because that was a boosted bet on a lot of sites. It was just for Herbert to get one touchdown was a boosted bet, and a ton of people threw money at it, and it did, and they lost. That's crazy, especially for a Chargers team. I mean, they won the game still, but he had the most passing attempts as a quarterback to not throw a touchdown and still win a game. That's pretty wild.
Somebody knew something. Yeah. Like
That's pretty
I
wild.
don't do the sports betting like that. That has that bet ever been offered?
Yeah, all the time they do it, stuff like that.
Okay.
Like
Not
there's
stuff like that.
ridiculous
I mean,
bets.
that specific bet.
Herbert
If
bet, not boosted, probably.
that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah, there's no way it's been boosted before, but they boosted it, so they got a ton of people.
yeah.
A ton of people. Okay, so we've talked about this the last 3 weeks, very much on the harsh side of it. I think we'll probably go back to the harsh side of it, but there's talks that Tua is coming back to play this weekend. What do we think about this?
I think if he's genuinely medically cleared,
But he was genuinely medically cleared 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks
no.
ago.
I think it was exposed that he wasn't genuinely medically
Well,
cleared.
at that point, everyone thought that he was genuinely medically cleared.
No, I think even like the talk was that he was getting rushed back in. Like people were talking about before that he probably shouldn't be playing tonight. Like that, I don't think that was a surprise that I don't think anyone was shocked that the concussion protocol wasn't conducted properly that week. I don't think that shocked anybody.
You're right. Nobody was shocked that it wasn't done right, but at the same time, everyone assumed that it was done right.
I don't know if they assumed. I think nobody just cared. Like, I mean, nobody cared to think about it. Nobody cared to really assess,
I
like,
think they thought
because
about it. I just think
nobody
that
saw
nobody.
the after effects of him brain scrambled on the ground there, right? That they could
Well,
actually
that's
feel a
it.
human emotion about it. They
That's
just,
exactly what it is.
nobody really cared to think about it. That's all.
Because
But
we've seen
now
this
that
with other players where they go down, get hit hard, and they're back on the field, and they go to the concussion protocol, come back on the field, and nobody thinks twice about it because they don't get
exactly,
hurt again. But with him, he ended up getting hurt again, so everyone went back and looked because if he didn't get another concussion, nobody would have go back and look at that first one.
no. So I am still on the stance that as much as there's an onus of society to kind of look out for people, at the end of the day, like you want to make bad decisions because that's your thing in life, then I don't like people stopping that, right? Like you could wake up every day, go for a jog, never drink, never smoke, eat all the healthiest foods, but it takes some of the pleasure away for life. Like you weigh the risk reward of the pleasure you get out of doing something that's not the most best for you. Now, this is another extreme side of it, but the highs of winning professional football games, that's something most people are never going to experience either, right?
Right.
The thrill of like lifting a Lombardi trophy when that's your life is playing football, that surely for many people must outweigh the downside of having a career-ending injury. So I get it. Let them play, but if they're genuinely at a point where you should be playing, because I mean, if he's still like you can't see straight, he's still waking up with like migraines or something. If he has like other lingering issues associated with a recent concussion, then yeah, it's probably not best to throw him back in there to just get his brain rattled again right away while it's still recovering.
But what if he's not telling these guys about that stuff?
There's a Jerry Seinfeld joke about the helmet in a skydive, that you're trying to protect a brain that's functioning so poorly it's not trying to protect itself. At that point, it's a lost cause. If someone's not trying to help themselves, you can't help them either.
That part is true, but that's why you need someone to step in and do that stuff for you, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, if somebody, that probably applies to many aspects. Like if he doesn't care about this, then he probably doesn't care about his own health and well-being, right?
Yeah. No. So what happens if what if he happens, he comes back and he just gets concussed again?
I don't know enough about concussions, but I feel like there is a medical thing of like, you have this many in this short of a period. It can't just be 2 weeks you're back. There has to be.
There's got to be some type of thing where it's like, okay, he's had 3 in 5 weeks. He's not playing this year.
Yeah.
Like even NASCAR had one of their
But again,
drivers, like, you're not racing the rest of this year.
now who is it that's making that decision? And again, I'm not saying that they are, but I'm saying, like, from our discussions, who would we be appointing to make that decision? That's the NFLPA.
Yeah, the NFLPA and the NFL would have to come together to say something like exactly that. Like in a certain amount of time, if you've had 3 head injuries, then you have to sit out a recommended, not even a mandatory amount of like 3 months or something.
Yeah.
Until you show no long-term signs in terms of like that 3 months, you can't go back to work.
Yeah.
Because what if he like dies on the field this weekend? The NFL's screwed. They're screwed.
Yeah.
Because they've had every chance to keep him out of football to get better, and they're not doing it. That does not bode well for him. Does not bode well for the NFL.
No. Now, again, what are the who as of current? We don't know the rules and the responsibilities. Like, is this something where the NFLPA might have thought that the teams have the power in it? Again, I don't know. So the NFL is actually not the one currently liable because of like agreements they've already had in place. Because
that's probably
sometimes you don't want to give the league the authority. You want it to be within the team or the players association or something, right?
Yeah. You want to be able to. Everybody on each side wants to be able to throw blame at the other side.
Yeah. So again, we don't know who is currently the body that's literally monitoring this, unless there's just nothing, like, free for all. Your team doctor says good. Well, team doctor said good. It's on him.
Agreed. So also this past weekend, probably the 2 best teams in the league played each other. Bills Chiefs. Bills won. It's a good game. So if you're a player like watching these teams, if you're a player like OBJ, who would you rather go to, Bills or Chiefs at this point?
So I think it's something you mentioned before, when we were doing the preseason stuff. In that game, had they still had Tyreek Hill, that again changes something, because like the last time they played, it was similar. Like Buffalo was getting the lead, and then they could just manage to stay in the game and come back. What he does is just create that extra little threat, which changes your defense, but also he's when he scores, he can score quick because he gets that 70-yard run or something.
Yeah.
So them not having that weapon, which they've had for the past little years, actually, we noticed, I think this time around, it brought them a little step below Buffalo, because I think if they still had him, they would have won that game.
Well, the thing that
just that one player difference.
It was kind of
now going to OBJ.
They couldn't stop Travis Kelce. If we were talking about the Bills for a second, Travis Kelce was still doing everything that Travis Kelce does.
But he's done that his whole career.
I know, but they weren't doubling him, and then when they did double him, he was still getting open. He was still catching balls. Like, it was incredible to watch him do that. I was like, how is he still open? Why are they still leaving him open? The Bills not arguably, but statistically are the best defense at guarding tight ends. But clearly there was a little bit of a weakness there.
Yeah. Now, because of that, I could see OBJ with the Chiefs. Now, he could be he's not the same player as Tyreek Hill, but he'd be that little difference maker. Like, they're that little bit short from beating them.
Yeah. Well, they'd also open up the field a little bit, because it'd be harder to justify having 3 guys on Travis Kelce and leave Odell Beckham open, knowing that Odell Beckham at one point was a top 10, top 7 wide receiver.
Now, on the flip side, if he goes to Buffalo, does he make as big of an impact?
I think he has. Well, yeah, I do, because they have 2 good, like Gabe Davis is kind of making a name for himself now. So OBJ would be a 3rd guy on the field, and he would open up Stephon Diggs a bit more. I just think that he's more firepower. I think him going to the Bills would be kind of a lot like him going to the Rams last year, whereas they already have a pretty good lineup. It just kind of puts them over the top.
Right.
So I think either team he goes to, I think these are the 2 choices that he should be thinking about. So I don't know where else he'd want to go. Right. You're not going to the Ravens. You're not going to the Bengals.
I mean,
You don't
is
want to
he
go to the
still?
Titans or the Colts. You don't want to go.
What's his connection to the Rams right now? Like, because
Well,
he's
he was saying that they gave him like a super low offer, so he doesn't want to go there.
so he's not like he's completely free agent. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, he's a completely free agent.
Okay.
So like maybe the Chargers if you want to stay in LA. I don't like the Eagles. I don't know if the Eagles would want him because they have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. They might take him, but I don't know if that's a good fit for them.
Well, I mean, it's one of those situations where if you can get a guy that's good and just like let him understand the role of like where you'll fit, like you're not going to be your additional firepower. You're not going to be things are working well right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
he would be like, yeah, you're not a focal point, but you are going to be a guy that hopefully in the playoffs puts up points for us. Kind of
yeah,
like what Gronk came back to the Buccaneers. That's kind of what OBJ would be like. Now, the interesting thing is if he went to the Giants, back to the Giants, that could be kind of cool. They're 5-1 right now. Like they need wide receivers. Their wide receivers aren't great.
of
Kind of
the
cool. That'd be kind of cool, actually. I'd like to see that. I don't know if he would go back there.
who's left at 5-1, it's just Minnesota and the Giants.
Giants are 5-1. Eagles are 6-0. Vikings are 5-1. The Bills are 5-1.
Right.
And that's less. Then you get into like the 4-2 teams, like the Chiefs and the Chargers. The Jets.
Who's taking the first loss out of those 3 5-1 teams?
Who's taking their second loss or the next loss?
Well, the next loss between the 3 of them.
Well, I think it happens this weekend.
Minnesota.
So the Giants are playing the Jaguars, so they win. The Vikings are playing. I think the Vikings have a bye. I don't see them on here.
Right.
So they won't be losing. And then what was the last 5-1 team? The Bills.
Bills.
Was the Bills? I don't think they're playing this weekend either. So if I had to guess based off without knowing the schedule, they'd be the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think they're good.
No,
I don't think they're good.
What's going on there? Like, why is it working? They just haven't played anyone of any real skill.
No, they've had like, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. Dalvin Cook is very good. Justin Jefferson is very good. Adam Thielen's kind of having a solid season again. Their defense is good. And their offensive line is good. I won't say that other guy's good. I won't say it.
No, I think it's known he's mediocre at best. And that's the part I love to bother you about.
I won't say anything about him. I won't do it.
But I like watching the like both teams. They're both came out as a huge surprise, hey? Like that. I don't think anyone thought that the Green Bay was gonna get kind of not manhandled, but the Jets beat them comfortably.
Oh yeah. Well, that's The Packers aren't very good this year. The Giants are the biggest surprise. I did not think that they were going to be good, and to be 5-1.
One player made that huge difference.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, having your guy go back to who everyone thought he was going to be.
Yeah,
and
opens up everything else.
That's the McCaffrey we haven't seen yet.
Opens up everything else.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting towards the end of the program here, where we try to fake talk about the upcoming games and talk about what we don't know. Thursday night, let's go through some quick ones. Thursday night is the Cardinals Saints.
Saints are underachieving. Cardinals are severely underachieving.
Yeah, Cardinals are favorites by 2.5. I don't even know if this will be a good game. Oh well, no,
this could be actually a high scoring. This could be a high scoring affair.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see Hopkins come back and put some points up. So I'd be happy.
Now, who's the quarterback in New Orleans right now?
That's a good question. Oh, Andy Dalton.
Yeah, it's Dalton, right?
Yeah, Andy Dalton with Taysom Hill lurking at the tight end spot.
What's your game of the week?
That's what I'm looking at now. Titans Colts are both 3-2. That's a boring game. I don't think anyone's going to watch that game. I'm not going to watch that game. But they are both 3-2. The Ravens, Brown, no, that's not good. The games kind of suck this week. Chiefs play the 49ers.
I don't know that division though. That what is it? AFC North.
Yeah,
Those games
they're usually pretty good.
They're usually pretty good. Like even when the teams aren't good, like that's a good rivalry within all of them, and they usually go at each other.
Oh yeah, they're in it. Like
Yeah.
they go down to the wire those games, even if there's teams like bad teams. But there's no game that sticks out this week where I'm like, oh, I have to watch that game. Like last week, Bills versus Chiefs, I have to watch this game. There's nothing here. Titans, Colts, Jags play the Giants, Panthers play the Buccaneers, Commanders play the Packers, Cowboys play the Lions, the Bengals play the Falcons, Ravens play the Browns, Broncos play the Jets. Like Broncos are favored to win that game right now. Can you believe that?
Because still nobody believes in the Jets.
Which is crazy. The Jets are 4-2.
Take the bet.
I will take that bet. I'll go heavy on that.
Is our boy Geno Smith playing?
Yeah, for the Seahawks.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're playing the Chargers. So I mean, that could be a high scoring game.
Yeah. Now, one thing we did touch on last week, I did look it up. Comeback player. Comeback player is just somebody who overcame adversity.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be an injury.
So Geno Smith overcame adversity.
100%. They wrote him off. That's adversity.
He's been written off for like 5 years. Yeah. So I mean, there is this week I got no game of the week. There's 49ers Chiefs probably. Chargers Seahawks could be potentially the highest scoring game of the week.
Yeah, they were billing that 49ers Chiefs as like a repeat of, Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but I don't think it's going to be
well, especially because the 49ers got beat last week.
Yeah, the 49ers are a little streaky to.
Yeah, they're only 3-3. They're only 3-3. So it's a matchup of the NFC West versus AFC West. I mean, technically they're both first place in their division. So and it's the Sunday night game, I think.
To end it with a you specific topic. Who's the quarterback in Dallas for this week as of right now? Is it Prescott or is it Cooper Rush right now?
The quarterback in Dallas this week will be Dak Prescott.
So he's confirmed back.
Yeah.
Are the Lions going to go back to their top offense? Are they putting up some points?
Yes.
From a shutout last week.
They will put up 30 points, but they'll lose the game.
Yeah.
To Dak Prescott and
what's the spread on that one?
Cowboys win by 7. It's in Dallas. And then the 49ers game is not the 49ers Chiefs is not the Sunday night game. It's at 1:25 Pacific, 4:25 East Coast. The Dolphins Steelers are the Sunday night game, which 2 quarterbacks that are concussed. Pickett, Tua. It's the concussion bowl. We just have to hope Sunday night nobody dies. Is all we have to hope for.
Yeah.
Any last words for this week?
No, just a safe game for those two.
Yeah, exactly. So no more concussions for the Sunday night game. Everybody enjoy this weekend's games. Thanks again for listening to Running Down the Clock on the Ordinary Podcast Network. Bye-bye. Running Down the Clock is brought to you by the Ordinary Podcast Network and is every Thursday running until the week after the Super Bowl. We hope you enjoyed enough to subscribe and tune in again next week.